tonkin', honky tonkin'. Yeah, we'll go honky tonkin', honky tonkin'. Our in-studio guest, my buddy Wade Hayes, on a good night, all the way back to 1996. Big #1 record for you, brother. Yeah. Everything working? I know we're just kind of jumping jam right here today.
Hey, we got it rolling. We're good.
It's good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you. It's always good to see you.
I'm excited about the cruise. We were just chatting a little bit before we got on the mics about the country music cruise that's coming up in January.
Always a good time. Always top-notch entertainment and top-notch fans, too.
Yes,
Those folks are incredible. I've been on, I think, 7 years now, and they're just
and you're still alive.
Still alive and still looking forward to going. That's the main thing.
I enjoy it a lot. My wife and I are going to stay the whole week. My mom and my big sister are coming out. We got a lot of friends, some couples that are coming to hang out with us.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to spend I'm trying to figure out where my priority to prioritize my time. The buffet, the casino.
Well, you got it. 1 and 2. You got
in the
right
room
there.
with my wife.
Perfect. That's about it. Hey, what else does a man need, man?
Not much anything more than I can do. Is your wife coming with you this year?
She is. If she doesn't kick me out of the house before then, she's coming.
Yeah. So I think Clint Black's on there this year. Who else is on the package?
I haven't seen. I knew you.
I think Neil McCoy's there too.
Is he really?
I think so.
Isn't Darryl Worley on this one too?
I think so.
Yeah.
And Linda Davis and her family.
Oh, fantastic!
Back out there
She's
again.
great.
Love them, and I think Mo Bandy's going to be out there again.
I love
too.
Mo. He still sings great.
He just got Texas Country Music Artist of the Year award. I think they named it the Mo Bandy Award, like a lifetime achievement award.
Kidding.
So proud for him, man.
Man, he had some great records. He
really did.
I've done a lot of shows with him over the past couple of years, and he really just.
I just love Mo, man. I've got to spend quite a bit of time with him over the last few years, and he's got some funny stories to tell. He's got a joke for everything.
He's a nice man.
Yes, he is, man. Looking forward to it, man. We're going to go back over a bunch of your old songs, and I know you've got some new music with you.
Yeah. Everything's going really good. Excited about the future.
Awesome.
All right, well, let's play some George Strait and
Please,
come right back.
Let's do it. We are Honky Tonkin' with my friend Wade Hayes. So you've got a brand new album out. Several covers from guys that influenced you along the way.
It is all covers. The name of the album, I've been wanting to do a cover album for a long time, and I didn't really know how to go about it, but this, I knew it was time to make a new record, and I'd written this new song, which you are mentioned by name in, by the way. And the song is called Old Country Still Rocks. Awesome. And after I had finished the song, I thought, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to write this song, record it, and then show people that old country does indeed still rock.
I agree with that, man. And I love all the old stuff. Yeah. You know, just all the foundation that they laid for us, the great musicianship, the great songs, the great hook lines. Just there was so much of it that influenced all of us over the years.
You got that right. This next song I think we're going to spin is a one that's very influential to me because two big reasons. Number one, Johnny Lee. It's one of his hit songs. But I grew up, the very first job that I had when I moved to Nashville, the big job, was playing lead guitar for Johnny Lee. First time I ever played the Opry was with Johnny Lee. First time I ever rode a tour bus was with Johnny Lee. And my mentor, who I ended up writing my number one songs with, is a man named Chick Raines. Mm-hmm. And this is a song that he wrote by himself. So I thought there's two big reasons to do this very song right here. It's called One in a Million.
And we love Johnny Lee. Here's Wade Hayes and One in a Million. New music from Wade Hayes, an old Johnny Lee remake, One in a Million.
I don't think we can mention Johnny Lee without saying when Johnny Lee was in here, Wade, we drank whiskey while we do this show.
I believe that.
And
oh, yes.
I poured him more than a single pour.
It would be a normal shot for
a healthy shot.
Yeah.
And I started to walk away with the bottle, and he goes, "Come back here." And he said, "Who are you saving the rest of that for?"
I believe it.
All right. Let me tell you.
Johnny. Is Johnny going to be back on the cruise this year?
He's not going this year. I just did a show with him in Branson, his farewell to Branson show.
Gotcha.
And he is not doing the cruise anymore, but he's still out and picking. And I love that man. He's been a very, very good friend to me over the years.
God bless him, man.
Yep.
Absolutely. Great Randy Travis. We are in the studio with my buddy Wade Hayes, and he has a brand new album. What's the title of the album?
The title is Old Country Still Rocks.
And he brought me a T-shirt that says Old Country Still Rocks. Look.
There you go. That's nice.
I like it. I'll wear that, and it's dark colors just like I like.
I hope you do.
So you've cut some things that are very personal to me too, because Keith Whitley influenced all of us over the years, and just a career and a life and a talent that was taken away too soon. But the small body of work that he left behind has influenced all of us in so many different ways.
You think about how little that he actually got to do and how much it has influenced people. Can you imagine if that guy had gotten to stick around?
Oh my gosh, he was just getting ready to explode to the next level. I mean, everybody knew it. He really did.
Great singer. He was a very handsome
and
guy.
Charismatic.
Yeah.
I mean, and great sense of humor.
Yeah,
I mean, just
he had it all.
He really did.
So Don Cook, I know you know Don.
Oh yeah.
Don was one of Keith's big friends, and he I wrote one of Keith's signature tunes, but he and Keith were really tight, and he told me that Keith was the only guy that he ever worked with that could walk in and do a song one take.
Yeah.
I mean, an album-worthy version, one take.
Yeah.
He was that good a singer.
That's amazing.
Did
you do one take on this?
Yeah, one after another. One after another.
I'm sure it's wonderful, and I can't wait to hear it. Here's Wade Hayes, and I'm Over You. Get out there, get it, son. Get her done.
Get down there.
I have to be at a certain place in my voice, a certain time of day to be able to get that, and I was not there at that point. So I had to go out and do some screaming and chug some coffee, and it was a struggle.
Did you play guitar, do any instrumental work on this record?
Yeah, I played electric and acoustic on it, and sang lead and harmonies on it, and we had a really good time. I don't know if we've got it loaded up, but we covered a Bob Wills tune called Milk Cow Blues. And it was one of my favorites on there. Got to pick a lot on that one.
That's awesome. You know, you and I have known each other for, golly, a long time, 30 years.
Very long time. You were the very first big tour that I was on.
That's right.
Old enough to know better had just come out.
And we've never really talked about how you really started playing guitar. I mean, you've been an accomplished musician for a long time. You know, what year did you pick up the guitar?
I was 11 years old. Yeah. So I had played mandolin before that.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten a scholarship, faked my way into a scholarship to college playing drums. And I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to play guitar. I got that so I could learn how to play guitar better. But none of that, I didn't stick around. I couldn't stand it. So I went into something else in college. But like I mentioned earlier, Johnny Lee was the first big gig that I got in Nashville. And that's really what I came to town to do. I didn't want to be the guy in the middle. Yeah. I wanted to be the guy on the side like Don Rich was to Buck Owens. That's who I wanted to be.
Wow.
And it just ended up, I was playing lead guitar at another guy's showcase, and some record label people noticed me and asked who I was, and that's how it all got started.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
You never know, man. I always say that you got to be prepared to capitalize on opportunity when it presents itself, because you never know what's going to come at you.
You never know.
And if you're not prepared, because opportunities don't come at you consistently.
They don't.
You just never know.
Yeah, and the older you get, the less likely they are to happen. You know, when you're young and you've got the world by the tail. But this, you're absolutely right about that. You got to be prepared. Keep your eyes open.
And with all this young talent in town today, you know, it's hard to find separation and make yourself stand out with so much great talent. Not only singer and songwriter wise, but so many great young musicians that have come into this town.
These kids are blowing my mind what they can do.
Oh yeah,
it's unbelievable. Can you imagine?
But can they play a shuffle?
Probably not. Probably not. You got that right.
That's the one thing that we've lost. I mean, they can play a 2/4 or 4/4.
Hit them with some Ray Price and see what they can
do.
There
you go. The great Eddie Rabbit on Second Thought. We are in the studio with my friend Wade Hayes, talking about new music, old music, and all those influences along the way.
Oh, yeah.
We all love George Strait.
Yes. He was a huge, huge influence on me. In fact, one of the only times that music has ever brought me to tears was a song of his. And it was a tune that I recorded on this record called Milk Cow Blues. His version of it, it was so perfect. I thought, and I had to pull over and listen to it because it was that great to me. But I covered a tune of George's, and it's a Whitey Schaefer song. That's the reason I chose that song, because George has so many great songs. And I tried to do kind of more peculiar stuff that people wouldn't normally do on this record. So, and Whitey Schaefer, he's kind of a hero of mine. He's a very intelligent, great songwriter, wrote probably the best country music song ever, and called That's the Way Love Goes. which I love that song. But anyway, he wrote this song, Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind? And we kind of put a different little twist on it. You know how George kind of, speaking of shuffle, he walks it at the end. And he played the whole song straight time until, he walked it at the end. So we walked the whole thing, shuffled it, tried to swing it a little bit.
For the Milk Cow Blues?
No, Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind?
Really? You shuffled at the end of Fort Worth?
Yeah, we shuffled the whole thing. We walked the whole song. George walked it at the end. We walked the whole thing.
Well, let's play it right now. Let's do this. Old Enough to Know Better. What a big record that was for you, man.
That was a 2-week #1, and that song changed my life.
Pretty awesome, isn't it?
Very thankful for it.
So as we go back, man, what year did we tour together?
It was 95.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was during the Time Marches On era, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was, man, what a great record that was.
Yeah.
I remember exactly when that came through, and Dawn did that record
Yes,
on
he
you.
did.
And I thought, this is freaking perfect. That is a perfect. Bobby Braddock wrote that tune, I believe.
Yes, he did.
And, man, how do you get any better than that? That's a good.
It's hard to follow that up.
That's
I'm
a
telling
good tune. That's a good tune,
That's
buddy.
one of them things.
Good
That's
record,
rough.
too. You sang the snot out of it. It was a great record.
That's awesome. So tell me a good story. You were about to tell me something off
Man,
there.
you're very. I told the folks the very first tour I was on was with you, and I have never told you this story. But when I was just about to move to Nashville from Oklahoma. I'd made up my mind. I was leaving, and I was driving down the road, and I had evidently I had some stuff in my truck that was unusual because I was getting ready to move to Nashville. I didn't have much, but I got pulled over for speeding. And it was this very large African-American state trooper.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little skinny, 160-pound, about that big around. You can imagine the intimidation factor. So he says, son, what are you doing? Where are you going in such a hurry? And I said, well, I was trying to get home. I'm just about to move and trying to get ready to get out of here. And he said, where are you moving to? What are you doing? I said, well, I play country music, and I'm moving to Nashville. And he said, Nashville, huh? You ever heard of Tracy Lawrence? He's one of my favorites. And how
That's
about
awesome.
That is, I thought, I've got to tell him that story. I thought, well, of course I know who doesn't know who Tracy
See,
is.
country music breaks about all those
It
boundaries down.
does.
It really does, man.
It sure does. Good music does.
Did you get out of the ticket by?
I did.
Yeah, you see?
I sure did.
Shared love of Tracy Lawrence
See?
got you out of the speeding ticket.
I
owe
don't
you
know if
for
I've
that.
gotten more people in trouble or out of trouble. I'm really not sure.
I've been on both sides of that
we
one.
should
so-
take a poll. Conway Twitty in tight-fitting jeans. So you even covered an old Conway too, and I say this all the time. If I love Conway,
Be careful.
and I like listening to Conway's got part of his body of work is very nasty.
We
Conway
talk about this
Conway
all
was
the time.
nasty.
Conway sang things in songs that no one else could get away with.
How do you make that into a family-friendly love to lay you down?
I know. And what's the one you love? The Don't Take It Away.
Don't take it away.
man.
Hey,
You know what he's talking about.
that guy,
He could
was-
do it too.
He'd get away with it, and just people ate it up.
Oh, get out
Loved
there
him.
and hang his toes off the edge of the stage, get all red-faced and lean in.
I know.
Like a Pentecostal preacher, son.
Yes.
Bend over and deliver.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta like that.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
you covered Slow Hand, man. Did you have to
Yes.
get your mind right for it?
I did.
Get in your Conway.
Hey, I did this song I grew up playing in clubs with my pop, and we did this song, and it really brought back the memories. And all of these songs really brought back a lot of memories, but this one in particular, and I loved it. This was Conway covered the Pointer Sisters.
Oh yeah.
This was originally a Pointer Sisters record. A hit from them, and he covered it and killed it. It was perfect for a country record. And it was one of his best sounding records, I thought. But I knew that we had to do a Conway because he was a big influence. I loved him, and this song seemed like the perfect fit. And this is actually probably my favorite cover on the whole record is this one.
That's awesome. Here's Wade Hayes and Slow Hand. Oh, JV, we all love Garth Brooks.
Yeah. We do.
We do.
Yeah.
I love Garth Brooks.
I wanted to tell y'all something. We played a little while ago your version of Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Whitey Schaefer wrote that
Yes,
song.
yes.
Well, this is one of my favorite country music facts, that Whitey Schaefer wrote Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind with his then wife, and I can't remember her name, but they wrote that song together, which was kind of a leaving song, kind of a long.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, he wrote All My Exes Live in Texas with his next wife, who he is now divorced from as well.
He needs to quit marrying songwriters.
He has written 2 #1 George Strait songs with 2 different ex-wives.
And that's why I love him. Exactly.
And the stories that man can tell.
Oh, I bet.
The best.
George Strait, All My Exes Live in Texas, in the studio with my friend Wade Hayes. Wrapping up the year, man. Just got a nothing left. We're almost done.
Almost
you got any
done.
shows left?
No, I've got no. I just finished my last one down in Texas, and I play down there a lot, and love it there. And speaking of all my exes,
So are you going to work any of the stuff on the Texas charts down there?
no, we haven't talked about that. I typically, we have a pretty good fan base down there, and like I said, I work down there a lot, so that's a good idea. I probably should consider that because I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's just such a different landscape. We were talking a while back, man. I was watching this thing on YouTube about the opening of the first Tower Records out in California in like the 70s.
Yeah.
And just if you remember back how much things have changed from that when you could go into Tower or one of these big record stores and anticipate any album that was coming and have all this plethora of music, and now everything is just right there.
I know it. I
It's
used
crazy.
to love going to Tower Records. I mean, even got to see some new artists play there. Acoustic shows.
yeah.
And back in the day, and now it's just a thing of the past.
Yeah, it feels like it's I don't know if this young generation finds music as special as what we found it.
I agree with you completely on that. And with me, I don't know about you, but I anticipated the artwork and seeing who played what, who produced, who wrote. It was all
Reading the liner notes.
Yes.
That was one of the things that I loved about CMT in the 80s when CMT started really getting legs underneath it because it would tell you who the songwriters were and who the producer was. And then you start putting names with the musicians and people that played on a lot of these records. I mean, I loved experiencing all of that too because it gave you some insight into how the records were made. And I loved knowing all those things.
Start
did
seeing
too.
names like Eddie Bayers on every record and going, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Does he play drums for everybody?
Pretty much.
Yes,
Yeah,
pretty
back then he
much.
sure did.
So tell me some of the musicians that played on this record for you.
Lonnie Wilson, of course,
love Lonnie.
he played on all my first stuff, and he is my favorite drummer and a great singer. Have you ever heard that guy sing?
Oh yeah, and just a great guy.
Yeah,
too.
I love the guy,
Lonnie.
and he helped me out a lot with this record and worked really hard on it. Brent played on it. Let's see who else. I'm trying to figure. Mike Owen played steel. I can't remember. You put me on the spot. I'll think of it.
That's all good.
Let
That's all
me
good.
think. I'll think of here in a second. So
Where
Jimmy
did you-
Carter played bass.
I love Jimmy, man. Jimmy is so
fantastic.
solid, man.
Yeah.
Just right there.
He's fantastic.
Yes, he
and
is.
John Jarvis played keys. That's it. We got it covered. Yeah.
Very cool. Where did you cut at?
We cut at the highway room down at Lonnie's studio. We cut part of it there, and we cut the rest of it at Sound Kitchen in
Gotcha.
Franklin. Yeah.
Very good. I like that.
Yeah, and Dave McAfee, Dink Cook played on it. Megan Owen played on it. Steve Peffer and Steve Henson as well. So.
That's all good. All those great players, great
Yes.
engineers, and everything. It's still fun to get in the studio, and I like getting
yeah.
in with a section. I don't like to piecemeal things in because I think
can't stand
that's having the creativity of guys that do this all the time because they all bring some little something to the table.
Yeah,
and if they hear
exactly.
something that's off, they might make a suggestion, a structural thing, or a little transition chord or something that can make
Agree.
all the difference in a record. And if you're just playing to a click, you're missing the opportunity for that thing to evolve a little bit.
I agree completely. And I did that one time, a record label record, and just pieced it together like that. And it was the worst sounding.
Yeah.
It was a disappointment to me, and I hated it. But that was how they were doing it at this particular time with this particular producer. And I like the whole band experience because exactly what you said, they all bring something unique and special to it. And when they get those great minds together, they come up with magic.
They really do,
Yeah.
and they're so fast and so
They
efficient
are.
with everything they do. It's just
Amazing.
absolutely amazing. And I've been fascinated. We know a lot of people in different genres of music, and the way that rock and roll records are made is so extremely different. I've seen friends of mine come in here from that cut a rock and roll record, and they would rent a studio for 4 months, and just do everything there. It's like I'm gonna go in a little room over here on Music Row, and I'm gonna write everything before I get there, and by the time I get there, I'm ready to play.
Yeah.
So it's amazing
They're
difference.
writing as they're cutting.
And I guess there is a
crazy.
charm to it, but they spend so much money.
They do.
It's not efficient.
It
that's
is
for
not
sure.
efficient,
And
but they
on-
make more money than we
Yeah,
do.
they do. They make a lot of money.
Some of them do, not all of them.
Not all of them. A lot of them owe the man. They owe the man. Whiskey River, huh?
Yes,
gotta
I
do a
had
Willie.
I had to do a Willie tune, and actually, "Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground" is probably my very favorite song. I think it's perfect, and I just was afraid to do that on a record because it means so much to me. But Whiskey River, You know, I love Johnny Bush and I love Willie's version, but we rocked it a little bit harder than Willie does.
Yeah.
And I had Mickey come in, Mickey Raphael, and play harp on it.
I was going to ask because I don't know who's playing the harmonica, but they nailed it.
Of course, I had to get him to
Mickey,
play, and he killed it, and it was just a lot of fun. It's like something we played in the clubs, you know, and we had a lot of fun picking on this song, and it was we had a buddy named Joey Floyd, and he was actually in Willie's movie Honeysuckle Rose.
Oh yeah,
he was the kid. Well, he played Willie's kid, his son, in that movie. And Joey Floyd grew up to be a great musician. And at the end of his life, he was playing for Toby Keith. He played guitar and fiddle for Toby. And he was my age, and he ended up getting cancer and passing away. But this is kind of his version. He showed us how to play this type of Whiskey River, and this was kind of a thank you, Joey, we miss you, buddy tune on the record. So.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a great list of artists that you chose to cover. Who got bumped off the record that you really wanted to make it that you couldn't quite squeeze in?
It's funny that you say that because I very much regret it now. But Gary Stewart.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he was the one that I wanted to do so
Empty
bad.
Glass?
Yes, Empty Glass.
I
Yeah.
knew it. I can hear you singing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one, and I love that song. Gary was a big influence on me. Wow. He was one of the biggest. Waylon, Willie, Merle, and Gary Stewart were my big guys.
So if you had your country music
show it to
Mount Rushmore, what would it be?
It would be, holy cow, it would be Waylon, Willie, Merle, and Gary Stewart.
Mine is George, Keith, and Merle.
Wow, that is cool, man.
Yeah, man.
I saw that peeking out from under your sleeve, and I was wondering, I hadn't seen that one.
That's my newest one. Right
yeah,
there.
that's because that can't be very old.
Yeah,
that's killer, man.
Yeah,
killer.
That's what I like to ask people. What would be your country music Mount Rushmore?
Boy,
that's a great question.
One of the quickest answers anyone's had.
Well, they were for sure my biggest influences. When I was a kid, I didn't care anything about that. And one of the lines in "Old Country Still Rocks" is that that hardcore country sound is all that mattered to me when I was a kid. I didn't give a crap about anything else.
Yeah. So was Alabama country to you in the 80s?
They were, and I liked them. I really did, but they didn't have that. And after the fact, I took a break from my stuff, and I went out and played lead guitar for Randy Owen when he did a solo project. And that was one of the best times I ever had in my life. I loved it. And Randy is a great singer.
Yes, he is.
He was still killing it.
Great records, too.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing some of that stuff in the early 80s when I was heavy into George Strait and the late Merle Haggard stuff. Yeah. And Alabama was a little bit pop. I mean,
they were.
But we were still doing Feel So Right and Lady Down on Love and some of those amazing ballads that they had huge success with.
Those were great records. And Randy is a great talent.
He really is. I think the last time that I was on the Country Music Cruise with you, Randy was out there. Randy was one of the headliners out there on that event.
And people love him. He's killer.
We are Honky Tonkin in the studio with my friend Wade Hayes, going through his new album of remakes. That's a very special thing. I'm so glad you did this. I've been talking about doing something similar for a long time.
You can kill it.
And I remember when Under the Influences came out by Alan, man. And it's such a personal thing when you go back and you do an album of these things that influenced you. Yeah. And sometimes it might surprise people the direction that you take and just where some of those influences came from. This next song was a Patti Loveless record.
Yes.
Yeah. Why did you choose this?
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Everything on this record has a meaning, and this one is no exception. Patti, of course, huge crush on her since I was
absolutely
like everybody else. But Patti sang on my very first record. She sang on Kentucky Bluebird, and she sang harmony on it. And I was in her video for, I forget the single she had at the time, but we had the same manager, and that was my first experiences with her. But I wanted to do a '90s song. And I was way too intimidated to cover my friends and heroes like yourself. There's no way I could sing a Tracy Lawrence song and do it any justice. No, I'm serious. And so I really had to think about this because I wanted something from that era because it's the best era for music, in my opinion, that there is, period. That's the perfect storm of singers, songwriters, and musicians. And the 90s and early 2000s is the perfect storm. But anyway. So I wanted to do a 90s era tune, but like I said, I could not do any of my fellas like you guys. So I thought I love Patti, and she's been so kind to me over the years, and just a wonderful woman. I look up to her. And this tune, which Tony Arata wrote, has been one of my favorites, and I thought it was the perfect obscure choice from the 90s.
Very good. Here's Wade Hayes, and Here I Am. Wade Hayes, I'm Still Dancing, taking you back to 1995, big old number one record. Second one for you.
Yeah,
Man,
that was the second
one,
single.
Was it better than the first?
No, nothing could beat the first. I was so overwhelmed. It might have been in some ways better, because the first time I was too overwhelmed to take everything in. It was happening too much, too fast.
So I remember you were talking earlier about when you played the old Bob Wills song, and you had to pull off the side of the road and listen. And I remember hearing myself on the radio for the first time. When you heard Old Enough to Know Better on the radio, in the car for the first time, where were you?
I know exactly where I was. It had just come out, and I just landed in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And I had gotten a break from doing the radio tour, and I wanted to go see my folks. So they picked me up and their old Buick, and Here Comes Old Enough to Know Better. First time I'd heard it on the radio, and it was perfect. I was with my parents, and I made them take me to the station, and so I could thank them in person then and there.
Wow.
So they did.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, those feelings are something that stay with you. I knew you'd know exactly where you were.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
As young people, I mean, I don't know if it's the same nowadays, but for us, I spent a lot of time in the car, man, in my vehicle. I mean, going to gigs or just whatever was going on, and music was a constant partner. It was just there with me all the time. So those radio stations that I listened to back home, when I was able to hear myself on one of those stations for the first time in the car, it was very overwhelming. I mean, like emotional.
And I'm sure hearing the DJ, because it was a new record, so they probably talked it up. You know,
they
here's
did.
a new one from a local Oklahoma boy.
A local boy. Yeah,
you know.
I think that's awesome. Your mom and dad. Did your mama cry?
No, we were just we were like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? And you know, the station was doing a remote at a car lot. And on the way home, yes, exactly. So it was perfect. It was the perfect country music
Clay
scenario.
Walker uses those in his stage show. It's fine.
That was funny.
Oh, good, man.
Well, here's one from Tracy. Let's just.
Here's Time Marches On. King George.
Great
Give it away. Jamie Johnson.
And Bill Anderson, I think, right?
Old Bill.
Yeah.
Big fan of Jamie's.
Yes, sir. So you did a Waylon song too.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to do a Waylon song, man.
Yeah. Waylon was one of the kindest people that I idolized.
That's a hard choice to pick which Waylon song you do.
So
man.
So everything has a reason on this record, and this is it's a weirdo, but a lot of people don't know this. This song was a hit twice.
Okay.
I think it was a hit in 1969, his first version of it, which was cut time and really weird. And then he released it again, a duo with Willie Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the 80s. And it was a hit again. And I thought, since I'm doing stuff that's kind of a little weird and different, and this wasn't a huge hit of his, but it was a hit twice.
Here's a Waylon Jennings cover, Just to Satisfy You. In studio with Wade Hayes, enjoying some old music and some remakes, talking about the new record he's got out. I want to go back a few years, the day that she left Tulsa. What year was this out?
It was 96, I believe. 96 or 97, somewhere in there. But it's a fantastic record. Steve Diamond wrote this song, and it was just such an interesting lyric and hooky musically. It just had it all. I was very fortunate to get a hold of this record.
And a song about your woman leaving, which is what I think all country music, it's just all the best country songs.
Yeah, this this song's a little more so than that.
Yeah.
He finds out up on the top of the Ferris wheel that his woman's pregnant with another guy's baby.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, it's terrible, but it's great.
Spoiler alert.
I love it.
Here's Wade Hayes and the day that she left Tulsa.
Listen to that fiddle.
What a great record.
Oh, it's so great.
Such a good record.
You
brother.
still play that one in the set, don't you?
Yeah, got to. That song it didn't peak number one. It was a top 5 record. I think it went to 3 or 4. But hell, I can't remember. But it was a very long staying hit. And that's just as when you get in the top 5, it's just as good spin wise as a number 1 record. So we were very glad to have that one.
Absolutely. So I know we've all seen King George in concert, and we all know that he still does. He still opens the show with this. It's like one of the at least the last few times I've seen him, he was still opening with Milk Cow Blues. Why was this something you felt like you needed to do?
Well, look, I loved Bob Wills' music. I love Asleep at the Wheel, and Ray Benson is a friend.
And so I know George has done it, but this was originally a Bob Wills record.
Yes.
Asleep at the Wheel covered it, Straits covered it, and a lot of folks over the years.
Yeah, even Aerosmith has covered this song. So,
really?
Oh yeah, but it's a great thing to stretch out picking on. It's a long song, and we all took a turn picking, and this is kind of I hate to throw out a $5 word, but like an amalgamation of George Strait and Ray Benson and Bob Wills, kind of, and plus throwing my own stuff in their takes, and it's very interesting, and it was a fun record to cut. And this was my favorite track that we did because it's got some good picking on it. Everybody played good on it.
Check this out. Wade Hayes and the Milk Cow Blues. Somebody's doing me right. Great Keith Whitley right there. In studio with my friend Wade Hayes with his brand new album that is out called Old Country Still Rocks, which we're going to get to, the title track here in just a moment.
Yeah.
But we've got one more.
Yeah, we've got an old one, What I Meant to Say.
This was a tune that Jim McBride and Don Cook and Sam Hogan, I believe, wrote this tune. But this year, they inducted Jim McBride. I know you know Jim, wonderful man. Mm-hmm. And they inducted him into the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. And he asked me to come down and play What I Meant to Say. And it was a big ceremony. And this is awesome. One of his favorite, of all the hits that he's written. And he's written stuff for Waylon, and of course, Alan's huge hits. But he wanted this song played, and it meant the world to me. And I love that guy. So
songwriters are some amazing people. Yeah, they're all very weird and eclectic in their own way. But just the mind of a songwriter, man, the way that we wander through the world, you're always looking to snatch something out of there, a hook line or an idea or something. It gives you a different perspective on the world and the way that you communicate with your fellow man. I think songwriters are very special and unique.
They are you are exactly right, and they're very intelligent people,
highly intelligent,
and just
true cowboy poets, in my opinion.
Yeah, just to be able to do that, to form a song and to make it speak to people, make them feel something and identify with it, and to be entertaining, it's an art for sure. Very, very talented people.
Absolutely. Here's Wade Hayes and What I Meant to Say. Wade Hayes, What I Meant to Say. Taking you back a little ways in the studio. Man, it's been such a thrill to get to catch up with you again. I don't get to see you near enough. Looking forward to spending some time with you out on the cruise.
Me too. And for all the folks out there that don't know Tracy, he's always treated me, speaking to your face, you've always treated me like gold. And I can't say that about everybody. And I appreciate you. So you've never changed. You've always been exactly the same guy. I appreciate you, my friend. I really do.
Well, we come from basically the same area.
Yeah.
Southwest Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas, all in that area.
It's an era.
And I remember when I still see, I'll be sitting in the bus and Wade would be out on the road when he did that first tour with me in the early 90s. And he'd have his cow horn set up out there and he'd be having his rope out there. He'd be roping. He'd rope for hours. He'd just sling that freaking rope. I said, that is a redneck right there, son.
I never got any good at it either.
He'd stay out there for hours throwing that rope.
I never got any good at it, so I gave that up. And we have a little.
I never saw you actually do it from a horse.
Hey, no, it's a good thing.
That's not easy to do.
No, it's not. And I'll tell you what, one of my first times I was doing it on horseback, and it was a bunch of people there, and I had records on the radio. And there's a reason I was out there practicing, because I wrecked bad in front of a lot of people. Came off the horse and had a mouthful of dirt when I got up. So, yeah.
That's not good.
No, so I gave it up. We have a little farm down the road from you where I've got a little bitty gentleman farm, and I raise cattle now, and that's what I like to do. It's slow and easy.
But the music has been good to you, and I know that you're still as passionate about it as you were many years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that keep us so young and handsome.
Let's hope it works.
I hear there's a Tracy Lawrence name drop in this song.
You're exactly right. I'm glad. Yes. I mentioned this is to show people that old country does indeed still rock. And I do drop some names in the title track, and you are one of them. One of the people that we still like to listen to today. We love your records, and all of my friends love your records. Anybody that's got any sense loves your records. So your name is mentioned by name.
So we're going to play the title track and all that stuff. Let's tell everybody where they can find it. Obviously, we'll be streaming on all the streaming platforms.
Yeah, any place you get digital music, you can get it. And we do have some, I just got them in, the very few limited, because some people still like the physical CDs. I just got a very limited supply in, and we're going to do, and you can get those at WadeHayes.com.
Be sure and go check that out. Here's the title track off that new record. Here's Wade Hayes and Old Country Still Rocks. Old Country Still Rocks in the studio with Wade Hayes. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. You know the deal between now and this time next week. Y'all keep her between the ditches. Peace out.
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you. I love it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Honky Tonkin, honky tonkin. Yeah, they'll go honky tonkin, honky